Thanks to hire a camera, I've been using the Canon R5C for a little over a week now, and there's been so much that I like about this camera, but there are still a few things that will put me off buying one. And I also want to talk about what I think Canon need to do moving forward. So a few things that I've enjoyed most about this camera. One, the colours. Being away from Canon a little bit and then coming back, it's just reminded me how good the colours are. I mean, I love the colours in the Lumix S5, but the Canon is it's just something else. It really is the best I've ever used, and I just love working with it. But then there's the dynamic range that isn't quite as good. However, in this camera, the dynamic range is a lot better. Usually, the highlights will be blown out. See this little bit of shine on my head? That probably would be blown out before, but it handles it a little bit better. Right, what happens with me when I'm out vlogging in public is I'll scope out the area to make sure there's no one around to begin with. The coast is clear, and then as soon as I press record and start filming, hordes of people start coming along. It's really annoying, actually. Another thing I've enjoyed about this camera though is the menu system and how everything's set up. Because it's more focused on video users, it's just so much easier to navigate around and get all the features that you need for video, especially all the monitoring features, and that's super handy. And with the larger LCD screen and with how good the LCD screen looks, it just gives you so much flexibility when it comes to making sure your exposure's correct and all your colours and all that sort of stuff. So I've really enjoyed using this camera for that reason, because a lot of these hybrid cameras are still very set up in the photo way, and it's great to see these cine camera menus being brought into these hybrid cameras. But let me tell you where I think this camera is lacking. Oh yeah, I've switched it off. Right, don't try and start the one wheel before turning it on. The main thing with this camera is it's still just not quite enough. Yeah, it's an improvement over the R5, but we've had to put a fan in it, which has then made it bigger and a little bit more bulky, which is a bit awkward for vlogging. It might not be a vlogging camera, but people are starting to vlog on more expensive, more professional cameras now. So you kind of need to think about things like that. And then also we've got the cinema menus and the more video-centric menus, which is great, but then the battery life is terrible. It doesn't last very long at all. It's about 45 minutes I'm getting from it. So it's just not quite there yet. So there are a few things that I think Canon could have done, or what they could do in the future, to make the whole Canon video camera lineup a little bit better. So because this camera takes the CF Express card as well as SD cards, Manfrotto very kindly sent me a CF Express card and a CF Express card reader. This is the Type B version, so now I can record in all the best frame rates and resolutions. So I think what Sony have done very well is they're constantly coming out with new cameras, and they're appealing to different types of people. So you've got a lot of cameras that appeal to the photographers out there, but then they've also got a huge line of video cameras that appeal to the video people, and also they're very good at doing a lot of hybrid stuff. Canon seem to just do one thing and then wait years before the next thing comes out, and they're kind of getting a little bit behind. And I know this sounds a little bit like old news, but it's true, and I think we need to address it because they've started introducing 8K features before they've even perfected the 4K kind of thing. And again, that's what Sony have done very well. They stripped it back, they didn't include any 8K, they just focused on the 4K stuff, and they did really well. Now, there's a few things that Sony need to do in my opinion as well, but when it comes to the Canon, I don't think there's any point in introducing 8K RAW into a camera like this, because the people that actually need 8K RAW aren't going to buy a camera like this, because there's other brands out there that do it a lot better, and you wouldn't really buy it in a hybrid body. I might be wrong, that's my sort of take on it. For instance, Canon have got the C70, which is a great camera. It's kind of mainly a cinema camera in a smaller type body, but it's not a full frame camera. Now, they don't really do a cinema camera in that sort of price range. That's what they could have done with this, or that's what I think they should do next. They need to bring out something that makes you need to have the camera. What I would have liked to have seen in this, with it being this sort of size, is built-in variable ND filters. That would be a game changer for a camera like this, like a hybrid sort of camera, because the Sonys aren't doing that at the moment. Get rid of the 8K, give us some built-in NDs in a small hybrid camera like this. And also, full-size HDMI. We're stuck with these micro HDMIs in these cameras, and it's not good. You don't want that. What's the point in bringing out a camera that costs this much and got some cinema features, but then it's lacking in so many other areas like that? I feel like with the price being what this is, you may as well go for the C70 because it's got better battery life and built-in ND. But the only downfall of that camera is it's not full frame. That's where Canon need to kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. We've got one camera on this end of the spectrum, another one here, but nothing in the middle. And I want to see a few more cameras in the lineup so more people can choose what's right for them. And then we'll all be happy. I'd probably go back to Canon again because the colours are so nice. The dynamic range is a lot better, but there's just a few things missing. We're getting close, but we're just not quite there yet. If you want to see some comparisons of this camera, I've got plenty of videos, so check these cards out here. If you already do have this camera and you want to know how to work it, there's going to be a video coming very soon, so stay tuned and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for that one. I've got to say bye to this now, unfortunately. I've got to send it back to hire a camera. I'll leave a link in the description. Great company. Definitely check them out if you're in the UK and you need to hire some equipment for your next shoot.